Okay, we're getting into the packing list demo. Annette, how's the table looking right now?
Looks great. I'll give you some heads up if we can't see what you're packing.
Okay. All right. So the point of this is really to show you how to pack your backpack, how I pack my backpack. We're going to talk about all this individual gear throughout the course. The course is kind of front loaded to talk about gear first, skills later, and it's really to give people time to budget and go out and find the gear, find the sales, scope out Goodwill for those great used deals. Speaking of Goodwill, Goodwill's outside of outdoor towns, Wood River, Coeur d'Alene, if you're in Boise. Those Goodwills have just absolutely steals on pretty high quality gear. Every time I take a trip that way, I always swing through just to see what's going on.
Through the Goodwill, the store?
Yes.
Okay, and I don't know if they're open right now, so you'll have to watch they're open because I know they were shut down for a while, but we'll have to check. Unless somebody knows that they're open, you can pop it in the chat, but you won't need to go this week, for sure.
No. So I have a checklist here. Highly recommend using a checklist. I have built mine. This is my personal one, and I built it based on the way I pack. REI does great checklists. There's a checklist in the back of the backpacking school book. I use that to make sure I have everything on it, but I rearranged it to make sure how it's packed. And so the first item on there is your backpack. That's what you're going to need. And when you start packing, you'll see here I have all my straps undone. All my pack is completely loose. Even my shoulder straps here are loose. My waist belt is loose. Just kind of loosen up all the straps you have. And so the first thing that goes in my pack is my sleep system. All right, that's this big bag here. This is my sleeping bag and my sleeping pad and my pillow and all my camp clothes that come out at camp, just a pants and a jacket. And it's big, it's bulky, but it's relatively lightweight. So that's going to go in first. And the reason you're going to do that is that you want all the heavy stuff to be close to the middle of your pack. So, and see, I actually went out and found a waterproof bag that fits, that fills up the bottom of my pack great. I've still got some loose areas on the side here, but for the most part, this just fills up the bottom of my pack and gives me a nice stable shelf on which to pack the rest of it. So after that, I'm packing kind of in reverse order of how I'm going to use things too when I get out there. So after that is going to come my tent system. So here I have my tent body and fly. I keep that in its own separate waterproof bag because if it rains, your tent's going to get wet. You don't want to get the rest of your backpack wet. Also, this is nice and square. And I'm just going to go ahead and put that right in there. But even though it's smaller, this is almost about the same weight as the bigger bag I just put in there. It's just not as bulky. I like to pack my tent stakes separate so they don't get in there. And you'll see this is something I can shove down in there and fill up one of the side pockets. Same thing with tent poles. Some people carry their tent poles on the outside of the pack. I put mine on the inside. And same thing. I just shove it down there and in it goes. And it fills up one of the sides on this side, the outside. Also, something that's going to come out in camp. Can you see that? There we go. The 11th Essential is one of my little luxury items here. Luxury items usually go towards the bottom. And for those of you that didn't catch that, that is a flask. Flask of whiskey is my 11th Essential. For Danette, I think her selfie stick is her 11th Essential.
It's a tie.
It's a tie. After that, got my food bag here. It's already prepackaged. I've got some meals and all my snacks. I put my mug in here, put my spoon in here, so it's all nice and easy to go. That comes in, and it goes to the side of where the tent was. And so now I'm still taking up all the space I can. don't have any loose space in there. And now I'm continuing to just make a nice pocket, a nice platform as I go up. And then stuff like my Jetboil. So this goes in kind of relatively up top. Maybe you want to take a break on the trail, cook a hot drink or something, especially if it's cold, that's nice. But my Jetboil comes out more than the tent comes out. Food or fuel. This is a cozy, which we'll talk about during the cooking class. It's used for freezer bag cooking. If you want to Google that, that was homemade from Home Depot. And then here up at the top, we're gonna have my first aid kit. We're gonna cover that during first aid. I just use a little Ziploc sandwich bag, but that's up near the top, easy to access. And my layer bag. So this has my puffy jacket, a hat, and gloves in it, and a little waterproof bag. Much easier to get to, and every time you stop, especially if it's cooler, you're gonna want to put your puffy jacket on. At least the way I layer, it's gonna go in there. And then my digital camera. This is another luxury item. You don't need to bring a camera that goes in a case this big, but that's how we do all the sweet slow motion pictures. So all that's gonna go in. And then for my pack, this is a roll top bag, so I'm just gonna roll it, and then it clips.
Hey, Casey,
Yes.
while you're clipping that, 2 questions. One is, what is the capacity of your pack that you're demonstrating?
This is a Granite Gear Crown 260, so 60 liter.
60 liter. And if you don't know what that means yet, you will. So good question from the crowd. Thank you. And you will learn all about the liter stuff later as we go through the actual packing. Second question real quick while I've interrupted you, Casey, is your backpacking list. Is that something you will share yours, or is there one out there that we have in iMac for the class that we can share with everyone? Because I have one that needs editing.
Yep. I will send my personal one out, and I will send the REI one that I use to build it off of.
Okay, great. Thank you.
In the follow-up email.
Okay.
One thing you'll notice right now is I think my first aid kit's in there. My extra meal, my extra food is in my pack. My fire starter is also in my first aid kit. There are not a whole lot of 10 essentials in my pack yet. And because those are essential items, and I like to keep them easily accessible. So next, going in, this is the lid right here. Let me change that. This is the lid right here. Well, you will also hear it referred to as the brain. And so it's actually on its own compression straps. And this is what is known as a floating lid, as it floats up. Like if I wanted to put a rope here or an extra tent here, or pack anything here, I can float it, and then it straps down on either side. And so we'll just get that back to about where it should see. And so the brain, lid, those are both different terms for your pack. And so what I'll do up here in the brain is where a lot of my 10 essentials are going to go. Map is going to go up there. Sunglasses usually go up there. Recommend a hard, soft case, just depending. Even at like noon, some of the trails that have more tree cover on them, you'll want to take your sunglasses off and then put them back on. So I keep those handy. What else? Extra batteries. One thing that's not an essential, but that just my personal thing, is I put my toothbrush and my toothpaste up there. And the reason I do that is because late at night, after you've had your flask of the 11th essential, sometimes you just want to go to bed. And I find that if I don't keep my toothbrush and toothpaste handy, I don't brush my teeth that much. TP and trowel. I actually use sanitizing wipes so that I don't have to bring hand sanitizer, because when you gotta go, you gotta go. then headlamp, sunscreen, bug repellent, all that stuff I want handy. But a lot of times, if all goes well, a lot of times I'm not hiking in the dark. So that's why I don't keep my headlamp on my hip belt. And finally, Danette, I do carry a little inflatable lantern as well. I found they're just a lot more fun to have on group trips.
Totally.
Last but not least, at least for my system, but we're not quite there yet. At least for my system, I've got hip belts on either side, right here, hip belt pockets. I have found my system is essential gear on the right, snacks on the left. So I will keep my daily snacks in this pocket, and I'll keep my compass and my pocket knife. And can we see that? Here's also a little tiny Garmin GPS. I'll keep that on the right side. Most of the time, I'm using my phone. But I do like to have that little tiny GPS just for emergencies. One thing you'll notice that fell off the side here is my rain jacket, my water filter, my trekking poles, and my water bottles are not in the pack yet. It's because they're going to go on the outside. Water bottles, I like these nice little stretchy pockets here. One on each side to keep the weight balanced. This backpack also has a stretchy pocket down the back of it. That's great. I keep my water filter there. One, it's a water filter, it gets wet. So it's nice to have it on the outside so it can dry out. But also, if I want to stop and filter water, I don't have to pull it out of my pack. That's how you can get lighter, especially on a trip when you know that there's plenty of water sources. You can maybe even get away with carrying one bottle of water and you're just refiltering every time. I've know ultralighters that go that way. I don't, because the 2.5 pounds for 1 liter of water doesn't bother me. And my rain jacket, especially in the mountains, those storms can come out of nowhere. Plus it's a rain jacket, so it doesn't matter if it gets wet. That goes on the outside as well. When I'm packing, so when I'm hiking, I have my poles in my hands. When I'm packing, I put my poles on the outside of my pack. And the reason I do that is because I've forgotten them more than once. It's just one of those things where you don't think about it. You walk in the garage or you're walking out the door, you grab your pack and your poles were sitting right next to it and you forgot them. So I will go ahead and just strap them right on the outside of my pack just to make sure I don't forget them.
Super smart. I've left mine in the back of my car so many times because I leave them there all the time. And then I've got my backpack on halfway up the trail and think, where's my sticks? Are you going to tell us, Casey, how much it weighs now?
So I'm probably, so once you're all packed, I'm going to start using the compression straps here on either side. Don't wrench them down, especially on these lighter weight packs. Just snug, just to keep actually I have to, on this one, so I have to take the water bottle holder out. But there it is. But I like to keep it, this has the option to go under or over the mesh. I like to go under just because it makes it a lot easier to pull my water bottle out. So this is why you have all your straps loosened before you pack, so you can fill up all that space. And then after you get everything in there, you can cinch it down to make sure the load doesn't go anywhere. And how much it weighs? I am usually around 35 pounds, 35 to 40. It might be about 40, maybe. It really just depends on the trip. I've gone lighter, gone heavier. 35 to 40 is really where I'm at. And this is a lesson learned from a previous class. Here is how you put your backpack on. And so I'm holding it by the carrying handle right here. That is the strap is in between the two shoulder straps. So it's this nice little U-shaped handle. Jeanette, can you see that?
Yes, I can. That's good.
Okay. So I grab it by the carrying handle, and I put one arm through and just kind of lift by the carrying handle and get my first arm shoulder through, get my second shoulder through. All my straps are loose right now, so that's why it's sagging down. And so my waist belt is loose. So go ahead and kind of like huck it up. Just put it right around my belly button. And then I'm gonna cinch the waist down. So right now, the waist belt should be right above my hips, right on that U shape of the hip bone. It's called the iliac crest for the medical people out there. But it's right at the top of the U of your hip bone. And I'm gonna cinch that down, not too tight, just firm and snug. I'm gonna still keep this like nice 45-degree bent over thing. Because next, I'm gonna start cinching down my shoulder straps. But I'm not cinching them down to take any weight. I just want, so when I stand up, the pack doesn't go anywhere. So I'm not, just to where they're touching my shoulders. Not snug, just, firm against, not firm even, just kind of like gentle pressure on the shoulders. Next, I'm going to do my chest strap. Should be just right above my, just right above the pectoral. Just kind of about a couple inches below the collarbone. And when I finally do stand up, there should be no weight on my shoulders. Last but not least, back here, these are called load lifter straps. And they're going to lift the load off of your shoulder straps. And once again, you're just going to pull those until they're firm and snug. And at this point, all of the weight should be on your hips, and your shoulder straps are just keeping the backpack from going back and forth on you. All right, the shoulder straps are keeping the backpack firm against your back, but they're not holding any of the weight up. All of the weight should be on your hips right now. So, what questions do you have?
I'm raising my hand for some people. Question, in terms of the pack you have on there, how many days would you say that would give you on the trail? Is that like a 2-day pack? Or? It
depends. It really depends on your system and how much you get done. I would use this pack, me personally, for say 4 days, probably, maybe more, because it's got the floating lid, so that you could put a whole bear canister up there if you needed to, or an extra food bag. It is a lighter weight pack. They don't recommend you put more than 45 pounds or so in it. But if you're an ultralighter, like say Steve Gahn, he's going to say, this pack is way too big. He's going to go for a week and not need it.
Right.
It's a very popular pack with thru hikers. And so if you've gotten into and researched like thru hiking schedules, one of the more popular schedules through hiking is to hike for 6 days, rest on the 7th day, and hike for 6 days and rest on the 7th day. And so you plan your resupplies out on the 7th day. So as long as you get a pack, this pack could do 6 days pretty easily. Might need to float the lid so I can get more food in there, or get rid of some luxury items. But I don't think you need anything bigger than a 65-liter pack.
65-liter?
65-liter.
Okay. And another question, Casey, is in terms of, like you said, 35 to 40 pounds was about what you think you have in that pack, or what an average is. Can you go lighter, and can you speak to that? One of the questions is, can you go lighter? Like, holy moly, that's a lot of weight. Can you go lighter, and can you talk about that?
Oh, absolutely. Let me make a note here. Do I have a pen? There's a pen. There is a website, there's a guy out there, he's called Adventure Allen. So Adventure Allen has a blog, and he has a packing list. He calls it his full comfort packing list. It's 9 pounds. And so that 9 pounds base weight does not include your food or your water. That's a weight that we talk. So there's two different weights. There's like your total pack weight and then base weight. So base weight is all of your equipment with minus food and water. So it's the equipment that doesn't change no matter what. And then your food and water change depending on how long a trip's going to be, depending on how plentiful water sources are. For example, if you're starting out in Southern California on the PCT, maybe you have to carry 6 liters of water every day. If you're going to Ancient Lakes here, all the lakes are contaminated with agriculture runoff, so they don't recommend you drink that water. So now you're carrying in all your own water. But in terms of base weight, you can get down into single-digit pounds, and then the only weight you're adding on top of that is food and water.
Okay, I have another question. I put the link, everybody, I put the Adventure Allen link in the chat box for you. I have another question for you, Casey.
Yes.
Where are you headed? No, I'm just kidding. That's kind of a question. The question is, does IMAC rent backpacks, and how heavy or maybe capacity are they? Does IMAC rent that? And does REI? I'll ask that too.
So unfortunately, IMAC does not rent backpacks that I know of. I've heard that we might have 1 or 2, but we don't have enough to actually have like a backpack rental fleet. REI in Tri-Cities does not. I think the closest REI that rents camping gear is going to be Spokane.
Yeah, or see, yeah, okay, thank you. Hey, quick question, Casey. I was saying when they hike with a pack like that, the side straps rub their sides. So do you experience that, or how do you deal with it, or any suggestions? When those
I have not had the side straps do that. It may be pack fit. One of the things I've noticed, like when I borrowed packs out, is if I'm bigger and I've blown it out to somebody smaller, they have to really cinch down the shoulder straps to get it to fit them. So then they start getting rubbing on their sides. I have had rubbing on my hips before, mostly in the Army, just because the packs were just so heavy. But getting a good pack that fits well should alleviate most of your things, and as well as putting it on correctly. One of the biggest things I see is people don't re-loosen their load lifter straps when they take the pack off. So then when they put it back on, it's already preformed, but maybe you changed a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, that when you start packing for a little bit, having somebody even help you with those adjustments is really helpful. It can change your whole trip.
Oh, absolutely. How your shoes are doing and how your pack are doing will make or break your trip.
You're welcome, Victoria. Who else has a question? Pop it in the chat and I'll shoot him out to Casey while he's role modeling, Vanna Whiting that pack. Turn to the side. Yeah. Okay, let's see it. Okay, cool. Good view. What other questions do you have about packs? And then as Casey wraps that up, I'm sure he'll ask what questions do you have about the class or the next session. But anything on conditioning or packs? Or the class? We'll do it all.
So one thing I'm not sure if you can see, sorry about right here by my shoulders, there should be no gaps. Sometimes if you crank your load lifter too much, did I just form a gap there? Right here. You probably can't tell it because I'm wearing a black shirt. If you crank your load lifter down too much, you'll start seeing a gap between the back of your shoulder blade and your straps. So that's another common mistake I see. Just snug them so they're firm but not wrenching.
Okay. Casey, I have a couple questions. One is, when do we in the class go over it, and how would somebody get more individualized help on picking a pack? I know one thing I did was I got training in the class, but I went to REI and they fit you for one, and I would not skip that step. Because they measure
Yes,
different parts of
so
you. So can you speak to that? Do you go over that in class? Or would you recommend this?
I'm quoting from memory. I believe the class schedule is going to be in the course description. I believe the pack tent sleeping bag class is class 3.
Okay.
Then can you confirm that? Do you have the course description handy?
I don't think I do, but I can get it. So just,
Let me, if you don't.
yeah, you're probably going to be faster. I don't have the class thing up. I have a big note to you going on here.
So class 3, Monday, April 13th, is our pack tent sleep system. It's going to be instructed by Jay Cadwell and Steve Gahn, and that is going to be our class on packs, tents, and sleeping bags. And then, yes, I highly recommend going to REI and getting fitted for a pack, especially for your first pack. They're very helpful. They're very patient. They have 30 pounds of sandbags in the store that they'll put in the pack, and you'll walk around in the store for like 30 minutes. Don't skip that step. Don't rush it. Because it will definitely change over the course of 30 minutes. And when you first put it on, you'll be like, oh, this is great, no problem. Keep it on for the full time that they recommend, and just kind of walking around the store, check out boots or shoes while you're there. Just keep the pack on and walk around with it, and you'll start to feel the fit and whether it's going to be right for you or not. You probably won't feel that right away in the first 5 minutes.
That'll feel weird, but they set you all up. So to Shelly, to your point one, there's a drop down menu. If you guys want to message me privately, there's a drop down menu. You can pick my name, and then you can do the drop down menu, and it goes to everyone. So that's for everyone. Shelly's saying, what kind of pack do you recommend for a super beginner? I would ask that at REI when they're fitting you. And you don't necessarily have to buy the day you're being fit, by the way, either. I did some looking around and thinking about it, but they are so trained to help people at whatever stage, and they usually ask you what level you are. So tell them you're a beginner, anybody, when you go in there, if they're open. That's another thing. I don't know if they're open.
So it's really gonna, so packs for beginners is really gonna come down to what your style is. This Granite Gear Crown 2 is a highly rated pack. It gets a lot of good reviews, but I've had 45-ish pounds in it before, and you start to feel the frame go. So when you get a lighter pack like this, you're gonna need to make sure you pack lighter. The Osprey Aether system, is that what you have, Danette?
I do.
So that is another highly rated pack. It weighs a little bit more. Its frame is a little bit stouter. It has more accessory pockets on the outside to where you can organize your gear a little bit better. But because the frame can take it, you might be tempted to pack 50 pounds. And
I don't know anybody that would do that.
And in that case, even though the frame can take it, it's not going to be a comfortable backpack. You can go all the way the other way, like Hyperlight Mountain Gear, or those packs are like $600. So if you're not sure you like backpacking, I wouldn't necessarily buy one yet, but they have no pockets. It is literally just a big sack with a roll top on the back and some straps on the outside, and hip belt pockets, I think. So those are your ultralighters, your super minimalists.
Okay, I have a couple more questions. Thanks, Casey. One question, how do we save the video? So the video, Casey is recording, and once he gets it downloaded and all that kind of stuff, he will send it out, I believe, by Wednesday with the recap, and you'll have access to the recording. So this is our first time doing that, so we'll be working those bugs out too. But we'll be recording that and sending it out to you, and then you can watch them until we take them down, probably, a couple months after the class. So we still are working those details out, but we will let you know. That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. I think, Laura. Do all packs have the load lifters? I haven't heard of them until today. Casey?
No, not necessarily. A lot of your ultralight packs won't. because if you're ultralight and you're carrying 20 pounds or less, they don't think you need them. Like
Okay.
I've got a 20-liter mountaineering pack that doesn't have them, but my 40-liter mountaineering pack does. So your bigger packs will have them. Your smaller packs will not.
Okay. Here's a question. Can you only reach your hip pockets while the pack is on your back? Can you reach things from the side pack? Well, I can speak to mine, which is awesome, but I have zippers on my hips, and the way they're designed, it's a poor design, in my opinion, that they're very hard to open.
Okay.
But the question of can you
see that right there?
only reach
Yeah,
your,
so I usually have to reach around when I can get out a snack or something. That's why I keep my snacks in here.
yeah.
And then they're easier to do from the back. I do not do enough yoga, but I do know people that can grab their water bottles. I cannot.
Yes. I have Cella, I think it's Cella. I said that right. I have a Deuter 45 and a 10-liter pack fitted at REA. Will that be enough for the graduation pack? I think the Deuter 45 will be perfect for graduation.
Yes, yeah, if you like, especially, I mean, there's ultralighters say 45 is plenty. I think Gossamer Gear just got like best ultralight pack. It's like 45 liters. If you're sharing with somebody, like you're sharing a tent, 45 liters is plenty. If you're on your own, like I said, you might have to go ultralight to get everything in 45. But yeah, it should be fine.
Yeah, and to that point, on the graduation trip, we really want you to bring all of your own equipment so that you can test and try it out. When you're backpacking with other people, I would highly recommend you pack the stove, I've got the water filtration, you've got the tent, I've got the food, whatever. I mean, that just makes a better trip if you're sharing things. But I hope that makes sense. Casey, another question for you. How many miles could you go with this pack without putting it down? Like, how about, like, is it breathable? Are you going to sweat with a big pack? And how do you deal with that?
You're definitely going to sweat. I definitely sweat a lot. We'll talk about that more during clothing, which is next class, about I sweat so much. Typically, I walk for about 45 to 50 minutes, and then I take a 10-minute break. So that's when I do my water, is like about once an hour or so, I'll stop, eat some snacks, chug some water, and I go again. In terms of, so my pack's coming on and off about every hour or so. But in terms of a daily trip, I would have no problem like going for as long as I needed to with this pack.
And I don't know about my design. I can't describe it to you technically, but the design of mine feels like it keeps that sweat. I mean, I do sweat. It's not a glamorous sport, although my 14th essential is lip gloss. It's not a glamorous thing, so you sweat. But the design of mine, which is the Osprey, somehow it pulls it off my back. So I feel like I have some kind of airflow going through there, and I picked it specifically for that. So
yeah. So Ospreys will have a more of a curved back panel here and some meshes, and it does keep it off.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can see this. Can you see how there's some mesh here and there's some air vents coming?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I got some mesh, I've got some air vents. It does help with the sweat, and it is a little bit curved, but for the most part, this pack stays flush against my back. Osprey do have more of a curved back panel, and they will, they're known for being more breathable on the back.
Okay, a couple more questions. There's some leave no trace questions about used disinfectant wipes or used anything, toilet paper, shovel, and throwing things away. So there's a couple of things on the leave no trace, but yeah, you can pack stuff out. Ziploc bags are your friend, but there are some places
Ziploc bags are your friend.
that allow you to use a shovel, and well, you still want to bring out the leave no trace. But if you want to speak to that a little bit more, Casey, I have another one, is why do you need a pocket knife, and how do you, and back to the other one is, isn't it comfortable to carry toilet paper and shovel? Yeah. Did you have toilet paper and shovel in your equipment tonight?
Yes, I have
Your data?
actually. So I keep it in the brain so that it's easily accessible, because I have found that sometimes when you gotta go, you gotta go. So
Yeah.
I keep it easily accessible. I use disinfecting wipes, and then I have this little trowel here that that extends out. There we go. I have this little backpacking trowel so I can dig a hole. And so when you get, Sarah's going to talk about it more during Leave No Trace, but depending on where you're at, if you use wipes, you're going to have to take them out, or you're going to have to make sure you get the biodegradable wipes. And these ones are not, so these ones I would have to pack out. Somewhere I have some biodegradable ones. I just got to search through my garage to find them again.
Right. So if you guys are hearing the Leave No Trace comment, you're going to hear about that in one of the class. You're welcome to Google it in the meantime, but you will hear about that and you will get training on it. So you don't have to figure that all out tonight. Another quick comment. Thank you to Julia for helping me. REI is closed at this time, but they're doing, you know, like warehouse orders. So I wouldn't warehouse order a pack. Maybe we'll do some investigating to see if there are other options for that. Maybe even they would be willing to do some one-on-ones for our backpacking class, Casey. I'm putting that in a little email to you with a list of things. So, but I wanted to pop in and talk about Leave No Trace. You'll cover. We're going to cover it. Pack it in, pack it out. It's true. And REI is closed. Why do you need a pocket knife? Did you cover that?
I have not covered that yet.
It's one of the
A variety of reasons. There are some ultralighters that have moved away from carrying pocket knives, and now they carry little like mini safety scissors, like almost like the kinds you give a toddler or something. Those like little Fiskars, tiny scissors. Opening meals, cutting cord.
Can you use a
for
multi
data applications? Yes. Yep.
instead, or
I change it up depending on what kind of trip I'm doing, especially when I'm backcountry skiing or mountaineering, things with a little bit more hard gear. That's when I bring my multi-tool. The only thing I would say you don't need is you do not need a hatchet. That's a common thing I see that we have to throw out at the gear shakedown. You don't need a hatchet. And for the most part, there are some woodcraft applications, but you don't need one of those like 6-inch machetes either, like those big old, you know, camp knives that they sell at Sportsman's Warehouse or anything like that. I do have some bushcraft skills. The Army taught me some skills. For most backpacks, you're not going to need it.
Last chance for getting some questions in there, Casey. We're at 8:19, so just wanted to give you a time frame. I don't know if you have a clock hanging in your garage, but I love all the questions coming in. If I missed yours, go ahead and repeat it because I'm scrolling and I don't want to miss anybody's questions. I don't want to fail on the question and answer role I've got, so please repeat your question for me. And it's just the introduction night, so we have a lot of time to go through all these different parts and pieces. And I made a note to see if REI could maybe work a deal with, if you go through some contaminant thing, maybe we can get you in.
The other thing I would say is don't feel obligated to stay on while we do our questions and answers. I know we said class would be 6:30 to 8. It's definitely well past 8. So if you have other things going on, feel free to jump off. You know, say hi and say bye in the group chat. And if you want to hang around, I'll probably hang around for another 10 minutes or so. We won't get enough questions.
How much should we expect to spend on a good pack roughly? Do we have some like ballpark numbers?
Oh man, you're talking to the wrong guy. All right. I'm looking at my wall here and I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6 packs. And there's my girlfriend's pack. But your Osprey, your Granite Gear, I think this is under 200
Are you saying
or
granite
so.
here? How do you spell that, Casey? I don't know that one.
Granite, like the rock
Okay.
granite. Maybe Danette, you could Google what the Granite Gear Crown 2 costs.
Round two. I put some of the names in the chat so people could pick them up. Granite Gear and Osprey.
So
What else?
I think Granite Gear, Osprey, REI, the REI packs. I think REI makes a 60-liter backpack. They're great. Deuter, Gregory. I think you're all gonna find a pretty good pack in the sub 200 to about 200-ish range. 250, I think for the Ospreys might go up to 280. If you get a little bit crazier, you can go all the way as expensive as like the Hyperlight mountain gears are up in the 500s. I've got a Stone Glacier hunting pack that I think ran me like 650. The sky's the limit. Well, that's about the limit. But I wouldn't recommend going that high right off the bat unless you know for sure this is going to be something you get into and you want to have that one do-it-all pack. And the reason I say that is like my Stone Glacier can do backpack hunting. It's been up Rainier a few times. Went on several backpacks before I decided to go lighter and get this one. But for the most part, what's Leslie got over here? Yeah, my girlfriend Leslie has a Teton Sports pack. Alps Mountaineering is a pretty good brand. I'm pretty sure they can run packs under in the low hundreds. And it comes down to your philosophy as well, your budget. I am a big fan of like buy once, cry once. You get what you pay for. Leslie, on the other hand, goes as cheap as she can. Since she started dating me, I spoiled her. She tells a story about how she just thought backpacking in the outdoors was painful and it was cold and it was wet, so she just wanted to do it anyway. So she didn't care that it was, physically uncomfortable. She would just go out there and have a good time anyways. And then I convinced her to get a Thermarest sleeping bag and replace her old Walmart sleeping bag. And the first trip out, she was like, "Oh wow, you mean I don't have to be cold overnight? This is awesome."
That's great.
So you do somewhat get what you pay for, but there are great budget options out there, especially for sleeping bags. The Kelty Cosmic Down, I think I looked it up as 180, and that's when it's not on sale. That's a great sleeping bag.
Okay. I'm looking for any last minute questions. I've been typing some of the names in, so if you want to look, I didn't put prices in because they're all over the place online, but I put some of the names, spelled them for you. The Teton, I don't know how you say that. Sports pack? Titan.
Teton.
Or Teton. Okay, that's the one I got, Teton. And a lot of people are
Teton
saying
Sports.
thank you and good night. So thank you very much. So glad you guys are patient with
Thank you.
our Zoomy experience here. Wow, thank you for your comments. Oh, we got a comment in here from Julia. Her REI friend says they'll do outfitting for free and you can sign up when all this blows over. Yeah. I love it. That's what I did. I was wondering if they would consider doing something. Well, who knows? I don't know how much longer we're going to be sent to our room to think about what we've done before we can go out to REI for our fitting. So we'll just keep posted. And if anybody finds it out that they're back open, let us know so we can send an email out. I mean, we'll probably be watching that, but that would be helpful, Casey, with all this conversation about packs, that if we find out they're open. And it looks like we have somebody in class that kind of has a connection. So the garage sale will help. She said, oh yeah, Oh, we forgot to put that, maybe you can put it in the email, and I'm taking a note for you, is that when they're gonna have their garage sale when they reopen. We don't have a date, but
Oh, nice.
that's a great place to pick things up. So I got that in a note for you, Casey.
Okay, great. I was just making a note for myself as well.
Oh, awesome. Night, Becky, thank you. Julia, thank you for all your help. Anybody still left have a question? Because that's what we're here for. It might be a lot of information at first, but we're going to go through it section by section. So.
All right, looks like I'm seeing a lot of people drop off.
They're going night. Yeah. Don's
About 10
still
more,
here.
10 left.
Don.
Hi, Don.
Don's like, I'm not leaving till I know everything.
No, I just fell asleep for a minute, so I'm gonna log out.
Okay. Night, night. All right. Thank you. Still
Thanks,
get
Don.